Welcome to a brand new Best Team series. This has been a best team that I've had in my thoughts for a while. I think now though is the perfect time to do it. We're going to be building a best team around a specific Pokemon for every game, with today's case being Luxray. How this is going to work is just like any other best team, except we're going to be tackling them for all the games rather than just a specific one. When it comes to getting Luxray into the games, you guys are on your own. This is going to be treated as your main ace Pokemon. However, you will still be able to use a starter Pokemon and such. With that being said, Luxray will be in the game at the very beginning, so around the time you either get your starter or a little after. If you're playing Desmume, there's PK Hex, or if you have physical copies, I'm sure you guys can just trade it over. Of course, there are going to be other team members as well, except only this time, we are not going to be building movesets for each and every member because that would make this video extremely long. The team members will be captured in the traditional sense in their original in-game locations. There will also be multiple options to choose from rather than just a set mon. We will be building a specific moveset only for Luxray in every game. Those games being Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, which will be grouped together, Heartgold and Soul Silver, Black and White 2, X and Y, Oras, Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, and finally, Sword and Shield. Egg moves will also be considered this time around, obviously because you guys will be trading Shinx over or genning it in more than likely. The moveset Luxray will have is essentially going to cover everything it possibly can, despite its move pool being a bit shallow. Shinx is an easy Pokemon to train, and it evolves at really good times, so I think it will perform decently, I suppose. I would cover more about Luxray's performance in these said games, but I would rather save that for how strong it is in game video. Just see it like this. We will be covering most of the Gym Leaders and Elite Four members for Luxray, but not every single important battle. Just know that just because I don't bring them up, all of the mons on these teams will cover Luxray, along with the moveset we have provided for it. As far as the next Pokemon goes, I would like you guys to leave which Pokemon you want to see in the comments below. It's going to be similar to how we choose the strongest in every game series, so leave a comment of which mons you want to see next. Whatever 3 mons get the highest upvotes, we will be taking them to a community poll for one more battle. Whichever mon gets chosen on that community poll out of the 3 will be the next one we do. Also be sure to let me know down below what moves you guys think Luxray is going to get in Pokemon X and Y. Alrighty though, I think you guys understand how this is going to work, so let's hop into Luxray's teammates in all the games. For our first team, we'll travel to Luxray's home region of Sinnoh. Luxray's moveset for these games will be Thunderfang, Crunch, Ice Fang, and Fire Fang. The Elemental Fang moves are all egg moves, but they provide Luxray with the most amount of coverage for Sinnoh's gyms. They will help with the likes of Gardenia, Crasher Wake, Candace, Aaron, Bertha, Flint's Drifblim, and Cynthia's Milotic, Togekiss, Roserade, and Garchomp. As for Luxray's last move, we have Crunch, which can be learned at level 35 in Diamond and Pearl, and at level 42 in Platinum. Crunch will give us Dark-type coverage for Fantina and Lucian, but we need a few team members to help Luxray out in this Sinnoh journey. I was thinking we need a Fire-type, Water-type, Grass-type, and a Flying-type. And by looking through the Sinnoh Pokedex, I think Infernape will do especially well as our Fire-type. Being part Fighting-type too really aids Luxray in the fights that it struggles a bit with. For our Flying-type, I decided to give you some options. You can either use Staraptor, a very solid fast Pokemon which can be obtained early. There's also Drifblim if you want to add normal and fighting immunities to your team. And for your third option, there is Honchkrow, which can be of great assistance with someone like Lucian. For a water type, I decided to go with either Quagsire or Gastrodon, both being water ground types, which with only one weakness, and being defensive walls, will be a great Pokemon to fall back on if you're in a sticky situation. Lastly, for our grass type, I decided on Roserade, which is an incredibly versatile Pokemon which can be obtained quite early on. With these 5 Pokemon, you'll storm through Sinnoh like a breeze, and that's why your 6th Pokemon can be any Pokemon you'd like. You have a favorite you haven't tried in a while? Give it a shot. Feel free to fill in any typing you don't already have yet. Moving over to my favorite region in Johto, we start our journey once again with Luxray, and in this region our moveset will be Thunderfang, Night Slasher Crunch, Fire Fang, and Ice Fang. This moveset will do wonders against Falconer's team, Bugsy's team, Morty's team, Chuck's Poliwrath, Jasmine's team, Price's Seal and Dugong, Claire's team, barring Kendra, Will's entire team, Koga's team except for Muck, Karen's Vileplume, Gengar, and Murkrow, Lance's entire team, Lieutenant Surge's Magneton, Sabrina's entire team, Erica's entire team, Misty's team except for Quagsire, Janine's team except for Weezing, Brock's entire team, Blue's Executor, Rhydon, Gyarados, and Pidgeot, and of course, Red's Lapras and Blastoise. Now, those are a lot of fights that Luxray can take on its own, but a few teammates will help for sure. And for this team, I want a Fire type, a Fighting type, a Psychic type, a Water type, and a Flying type Pokemon. For our Fire type, we'll pick Cyndaquil as our starter, which later down the line will become a Typhlosion. Typhlosion will be able to aid with Stab Fire, where Fire Fang simply won't cut it. For our Fighting type, you have the option between Heracross and Machamp. Machamp obviously requires a trade, but the payoff is there for sure. If trades are a bit hard to come across, then there is Heracross, which will do a great job too, especially against Whitney and her pesky Miltank. For our Psychic type Pokemon, I think Alakazam will do wonders. I mean, it's a fantastic speedy Psychic type which outruns most of the game, including Morty's base 110 Gengar. Of course, if trading is hard to come across, you can always evolve Eevee into an Espeon and see similar results. For our next Pokemon, we need someone who can traverse the waters of Johto, and who would be better than the transport Pokemon Lapras. On top of being our option of transport, Lapras is also an incredibly bulky Pokemon, capable of taking plenty of hits. Also, we like Lapras, and to show our appreciation for it, let's get 2,000 likes on this video. I know you guys can do it. And for our last Pokemon, we need someone who can traverse the skies of Johto, and take us from point A to point B with fast travel. And from experience, the best flying type in this game is Spearow. Coming over to Unova now, Luxray's moveset is going to be Thunderfang, Night Slash/Crunch, Ice Fang, and Thunderfang. Some opponents that are easily covered by Luxray's moveset are Cress and Skyla. I say Cress because of the starter choice we will be picking. Once again, we have a very similar moveset here with the egg moves. With options like Fire Fang and Ice Fang, we have reliable coverage against the likes of Berg, Bryson, the Dragon Leaders, and Grimsley's Crocodile and Bisharp. Crunch can also be a great help against Caitlyn and Chantel's teams as well, being both Psychic and Ghost types. As for typings that will aid Luxray a lot here, I'm thinking of a Water type, Ice type, Fire type, Flyer, and a solid Ice type to help with the Dragon bit. Obviously, with Unova, we are limited with the Pokemon we're able to use, only having access to the Unova Dex. However, that's not that big of a deal, because we have a lot of power. The Mons I've decided on for these said typings are Ember for our starter, Seismitoad/Jellicent for our water needs, Crocodile/Scrafty for our dark side, and Cryogonal for our ice side. Oh, and who could forget our favorite flyer for these games being Sigilith? Let's be real. At this point, Sig is going to be on every Unova team. This team covers a lot of threats in Unova, and will help Luxray attain victory. Ember is going to help clean up a lot of threats with its fire typing. Our water mons are obviously only here for surfing, but Jellicent's ghost typing can aid. Ground types are also solid to use, so Seismitoad's dual typing helps with that. Crocodile helps not only with its ground typing, but its dark typing as well, and so does Scrafty with its dark typing against Caitlyn and Chantel. And Sig is the best flyer, you can't argue with that. Plus its psychic typing and wide coverage pool will help out a lot in different kinds of situations. Continuing in Unova with Black and White 2, Luxray's moveset does not change much, but there is one noticeable difference. The moveset now is Thunderfang, Night Slash or Crunch, Ice Fang, and for the last move slot, I decided to swap out Fire Fang for Return, as Fire Fang is not that useful in Black and White 2. With this moveset, Luxray can make quick work of Berg's grass type/bug types, Elace's Emolga, Clay's team bar Excadrill, Skyla's team, Drayden's team, and Marlin's entire team. As for the ability on our Luxray, not that it has had major impacts in previous teams, but it will have the ability Intimidate, as it allows us to more easily deal with Charon's workup shenanigans. Now that we have Luxray situated, we once again need teammates to allow Luxray to shine. For this team, I wanted a fire type, a ground type, a water type, a fighting type, and a flying type. Once again, just like in Black and White, the best fly Pokemon you can obtain is none other than Sigilith. Being such a versatile flying type really makes the team flow better, and I'm happy that I get to bring it back one more time. Another Pokemon that is making a return is Emboar, as there really aren't any fire types that do what Emboar does in this game. Emboar is an incredible wall breaker, and will smack anything in front of it. For our ground type, I wanted to add either Crocodile or Flygon. Both do amazingly in their respective jobs. Fast Earthquake is something they both do, but where they divert is in the secondary typing. Flygon being part Dragon allows for a ton of resistances, while Crocodile being part Dark allows it to hit a few opponents that Flygon otherwise couldn't, so feel free to choose whichever fits your build best. Next up, I want a water type, and I thought about Jellicent like in the last team, but it's in Black and White too. And with that said, Azumarill truly started to become a menace. I mean, wait one more generation and it gets the fairy typing. Azumarill will make a great addition for this team. The last Pokemon I want on this team is a more important fighting role, and for that, I want Lucario. Lucario will be found incredibly early at the Falcacy Ranch as a Riolu, which will be another important piece to deal with Cheren in the early game. Starting the easiest of the Pokemon games, we have X and Y. The moveset I decided to go with here is the usual: Thunderfang, Night Slasher Crunch, Fire Fang, and Ice Fang. With Shinx having access to Thunderfang right from the get-go, Viola should go down easily. The same also applies to Corina's Hawlucha, Olympia's Slowking, Malva's Talonflame, Seabold's team, and Diantha's Hawlucha. For coverage, Ice Fang and Fire Fang dominate Ramos, and Wulfric's and Drazna's team. This moveset covers a lot of threats, so I think that's a check. For team members in X and Y, there are a lot of Pokemon to choose from. X and Y has a humongous Pokedex, and with that being said, we have tons of options to pick from. I figured Greninja would be our best water-type option and starter because, duh, it's Greninja. Look at that coverage too. Other than that, the typings we have are Fighting, Flyers, and Ground. Ground and Fighting, to me, are definitely the more important typings to look over, so we will start with those. Lucario is an automatic no-brainer because you get a free one right after you defeat Corina, and it Mega Evolves, so it's pretty flippin' busted. For ground types, I figured there were 3 options to pick from, being Crocodile, Hippowdon, and Garchomp. Now, all 3 are fantastic, but I personally like Crocodile more because of its usage of dark coverage. Oh, and there's also the fact it gets Moxie as an ability, so that's a huge plus. Hippowdon is just a bulky ground, and Garchomp is a very powerful choice as well. Chomp obviously is what most of you guys are going to pick because of those stupid busted stats. Lastly comes our flyers. Now, we have 5 different flyers that you can choose from: Talonflame, Crobat, Sigilyph, Staraptor, and Charizard. Talonflame to me is a fine option because it is the easiest one you can get. And if you can score Gale Wings on it by whatever means necessary, then that's a pretty solid choice. Plus, Gen 6 Gale Wings is best Gale Wings. Crobat has a fun move pool to pick from, and it's decently bulky. Sige, you guys know, I like a lot because of its phenomenal coverage. Staraptor is very dominant with moves like Close Combat, and is by far one of the best flyers to have access to in general. That Aviator hits like a truck every time. Lastly, we have Charizard, which can Mega Evolve into either Zard X or Zard Y. Both options are very good, and you don't lose by picking either one, to be honest. It just depends on either if you have X or Y. It's a starter option, and it can follow you around. So realistically, X and Y gives a lot of options like I mentioned. You can't go wrong with any of the choices, so just do you. Moving on to the Hoenn remix, our Luxray in this journey will have the moveset Thunderfang, Night Slasher Crunch, Ice Fang, and Fire Fang. With this moveset, Luxray will help us against Roxanne's Geodude, Watson's Magnemite and Magneton, Winona's team, Tate and Liza's Solrock and Lunatone, Wallace's entire team except for Whiscash, Sydney's Shiftry, Cacturne, and Sharpedo, Phoebe's team, Glacia's team, Drake's team except for Kingdra, and Steven's Skarmory, Claydol, and Metagross. Now, Luxray is going to need some teammates here in Hoenn 2, and for this game, we want a Water type, a Psychic type, a Fighting type, and a Dark type. And for these options, I chose Swampert as it is the most helpful starter. It gives us a Pokemon to surf the vast oceans of Hoenn, and with the added ground typing, makes it only weak to one typing, being grass. For our Psychic type, we have quite the options. Normally, we don't really include legendaries, but as it is a static encounter in the middle of this story, you can choose to add a Latios or Latias to your team. But if you wish to stray away from legendaries, Gardevoir will do a real solid job as the team Psychic type. For our next Pokemon, I want a Fighting type, and I really think that Breloom or Machamp, depending on trade availability, are incredible options for the Trials of Hoenn. Lastly, I want a Dark type, and the only 2 that came to mind that don't interfere with our typings are either Mega Absol or Shiftry, both being great assets to the team in order to support Luxray in the best way possible. For the last slot, you can pick whichever personal favorite you have. Maybe you want a flying Pokemon if you don't like the Eon Flute, or maybe there's a personal favorite you'd want to use. But this is as good as it gets for Luxray in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Heading over to the Alola region, we start off with Pokemon Sun and Moon. Luxray's moveset over here is going to be Thunderfang, Night Slasher Crunch, Fire Fang, and Ice Fang. Right off the bat, Luxray's electric typing will help dramatically against Totem Wishy-Washy, Kahili's team, and Kukui's Braviary. Fire Fang and Ice Fang cover a bunch, being Totem Lurantis, Vikavolt, and some of Kukui's team members being Decidueye, Ninetales, and Magnezone. Crunch and Night Slash also help out a lot against Acerola, but that's pretty much it. For Sun and Moon team members, we have a bit to choose from in terms of typings. Water, Ground, Fire, Dark, and Fighting look to be the dominant typings here to give Luxray a hand. With that said, I've chosen Primarina as our starter, Alolan Dugtrio and Mudsdale for ground coverage, Talonflame or Salazzle, Alolan Muck, and Machamp/Hariyama. Primarina, with its dual typing of Water and Fairy, covers quite a bit, and having moves like Sparkling Aria and Moonblast makes it hit decently hard. Other water options to me just don't compare to Primarina, and the Fairy typing is just an added bonus, because Fairy covers a decent amount. Alolan Dugtrio, with its Steel typing and fast speed, helps hit threats fast and hard. However, if you're looking for bulk and offense, Mudsdale is also not a bad option, especially with Stamina as an ability. Talonflame and Salazzle, I'm just gonna be blunt, are here for Totem Lurantis. That thing is the hardest Pokemon in the set of games. We have Fire Pokemon specifically for that. Hariyama and Machamp will be here for that early battle against Totem Raticate or Gumshoes, depending on which game you chose. I don't recall having a fighting type on any previous teams for Alola, but it definitely isn't a bad option to have, plus I would rather use that instead of Snorlax. Round 2 of Alola, here we go. Luxray's moveset is Thunderfang, Night Slasher Crunch, Fire Fang, and Return. These are the same usual egg moves that we have, with the addition of TM27, Return. The Return TM can be found in Miley City from an Oranguru and a police officer. The Pokemon Luxray will be able to do well against here are Totem Araquanid, Totem Marowak with Crunch, Lurantis with Fire Fang, Togedemaru with Fire Fang, and Ribombee with Fire Fang. For the trial captains, just apply what I said about the Totemons. Moving on to the Elite Four though, Malayan's Steel types go down with Fire Fang, Kahili goes down with Stab, and a few of House Pokemon are also dealt with, being his Vaporeon, Noivern, Decidueye, and Crabominable. Luxray does loads in Ultra Sun and Moon in comparison to some previous games, but let's see how the team stacks up. Team members in Ultra Sun and Moon are going to be slightly different in this go-round of Alola. The typings we are looking for here are Fairy, Fire, Ground once again, Fighting, and Dark. Right off the bat, our starter is going to be Incineroar. Its Fire typing will help with that Lurantis problem and a few other key threats. Plus, in my opinion, it's the best starter option for Ultra Sun and Moon when it comes to revolving around Luxray. You can either choose Incineroar or Primarina, to be honest. I just wanted Incineroar because I wanted to try it out and do something different. Incineroar also has that Dark typing, which can take care of some threats like Alolan Marowak. Mudsdale and Alolan Dugtrio make their return once again, and I still stand by the same statements I said for Pokemon Sun and Moon. Hawlucha is a much better choice here than our previous fighting mons, because of that flying option. Plus, having that high speed of 113 is very handy as well. Lastly, we have Zoroark. And I know we already have a Dark type, but I specifically used Zoroark because I've seen it completely shut out Ultra Necrozma in Ultra Sun and Moon speedruns. Alright, that's it for Alola. To Galar we go. Finally, we make our last stop over to the Galar region, where Luxray wishes to put on one last final show. And I can assure you, it will. In this game, we're going to see a very notable move in its move pool, and that is Play Rough. Now, I know Play Rough can be a bit of a pain to obtain, being a raid reward, but believe me, this move makes a world of difference for this Pokemon. Luxray's moveset consists of Thunderfang for stab, Fire Fang, Night Slash, and Play Rough for coverage. With this moveset, Luxray walks into Galar and runs all over it. It's a shame that Fire Fang is no longer an egg move though, so it won't be available for Milo, but Luxray will still deal with Nessa, Bee and Alistair, Opal's Mawile and Togekiss, Gordy's Barbaracle, Melanie's entire team, Pierce's team, Raihan's Flygon, Marnie's team, and Hop's Corviknight and Rillaboom. And yes, that is a clue to who we're picking as our starter Pokemon. It also does well against Bede's Mawile, Nessa's entire round 2 team, Bee's entire round 2 team, Alistair's entire round 2 team, Raihan's Goodra and Flygon, and Leon's entire team. Even though Luxray puts on an incredible show in Galar, we still need some teammates to back Luxray up. For this team, I want a Fire type, a Water type, a Dark type, a Dragon, and a Fighting type. I hinted to our Fire type with Hop's team. We picked up the best starter in Galar, being Cinderace. I mean, what is there to be said that hasn't already been said? Am I right? It's fast, it's versatile, it's incredibly strong, and it's going to do wonders in the playthrough. For a Water type, you have the option between Azumarill, now sporting the Fairy type since the last time we saw it. However, if you want a slightly faster approach, I present you with Barraskewda. This torpedo of a fish sure packs a bite with Strong Jaws or Swift Swim, and will be a great addition to your squad. Next up for our dark type, we have either Crocodile or Grimmsnarl. And I would pick Crocodile if you went with the Azumarill, or Grimmsnarl if you went with Barraskewda. That extra fairy typing on your team will do wonders. Crocodile, as you've heard at least a few dozen times already in this video, is just incredible for an in-game playthrough, and is an all-around great ground and dark type Pokemon. Grimmsnarl, however, is a very tricky and super supportive dark and fairy type. For our next member, I decided to add the pseudo-legendary Dragapult. A fast dragon and ghost with options for being both a special and physical attacker? That is just incredible. And this team does need a Pokemon quick on their feet. Going first can turn the tide of the entire battle. Lastly, I want a fighting type on that team, and that's going to either be Lucario or Hawlucha. Both excelling in the offensive part, but Hawlucha has a slight edge in adding the flying type to your team. Lucario has steel, however, so again, choose whichever you prefer in this situation. Well, that wraps up all the teams for Luxray. Tell me, what do you guys think about these teams? Would you use any of them? Definitely let me know down below. Also, let's get that 2K like goal. It shows me you guys like this series and definitely want more. I had a lot of fun creating these teams, and this is something I want to do again for sure. Remember to leave what Pokemon you want to see next down below. Whatever 3 have the highest upvotes, we will take those over to a community poll for one more battle, so be sure to stay on the lookout for that poll. And also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. So with that said, thank you to everyone for watching the video. Huge thanks to my phenomenal team and the amazing art done each week by Danny the Demon. I couldn't do all this without them. If you all enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Be sure to leave a comment too, as it really helps us out. I also do other content on my Twitch, where I stream Genshin Impact, Mystic Zora, where I do Pokemon Let's Plays and other gaming content, and of course MysticSage, where I do all anime content. Right now, I'm focusing on Inuyasha and Yashahime, so if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. If you'd like to support me even further than that, check out my Patreon. Whether it's a $1 tip to get early thumbnail access, or the $10 tier to get cool perler bead charms and a shoutout. There's tons of reasons to join today. These lovely people did, and I thank them all so much for their support. It really means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Umbreon, and I will see you all next time with some more amazing Pokemon content.